Mikey and Rinne stay in. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, it's Mikey and Rinne stay in. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Rinne.
And this is episode 11.
Whoa.
We're getting closer to heaven. Episode 11. I don't know. Yeah, we had a great interview this episode.
Yes. So this is going to be us talking for a little bit of a truncated time so that we can get to the super juicy interview that we
Yeah, and we actually have a two-part interview. So it's a friend of ours, Crystal, specifically a friend of Corinne's, but a new friend of mine. And she's telling us about her pregnancy journey. And so we had a great conversation, and it was long enough that we're splitting it up into 2 episodes. So,
yeah.
And she's awesome. She's an acupuncturist and just a very knowledgeable person about life, I feel
Totally.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will just chat for a few minutes, and then we will leave the rest of the show to Mikey and Rinne stay in to review it.
Yeah. Well, she really owns it. She loves the punny side of our show. I love the puns. I think they're great.
What's new with you? How you doing?
You know, I'm good. I'm going back to Colorado Springs tonight. Actually, I'm doing like a midnight flight to Colorado Springs to go to my 20th high school reunion.
Yes, you are.
I have a hard time saying 20th high school reunion. And I don't think it's because it's a hard word to say. I think it's just I have a mental block around that. It's been 20 fucking years since I graduated from high school. But yeah, I think it's going to be cool people. It's like, I think we have 850, I have no idea, 800-ish students that we graduated with. And I think 45 or something like that have now RSVP'd. So we're showing up.
Yeah. I know my high school reunion last year, we graduated with 100 and, I don't know, maybe 20. And there was, I don't know, a solid, 40 people?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, percentage-wise, you guys are going to crush us.
Crush.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Ours is at like an old Chicago pizza.
Amazing.
Right, which is amazing. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like it could be at a worse place because like old Chicago is also known for like having great beer and I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know.
Hey, want to go have a great beer? Yeah, I'll meet you at Old Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. They have this like, I think it's like beer passport or something like that where you like can drink 100 beers from around the world, and I don't know. They have like at least a decent thing, but it's like not near my. I don't know. I don't really know what reunions are all about. Like it's not near our high school. Mm-hmm. It's not. Like I don't know that you're supposed to like go to your high school for your reunion.
Oh no.
But still, it feels like you should be like, I don't know, near it or something.
Yeah,
or like,
I mean, we were, we went to Solve.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
The little town to
Right.
go to the bar that was right down the street from the high school. So that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, in case you want to like TP the high school or something. I was
Yeah,
definitely
go make
interested
out in the football
stadium. Yeah, sure. You guys
We
have
definitely didn't have a stadium.
Yeah,
but.
I know we don't either. But anyway, so it's just kind of weird, but it's gonna be fun, and it's like a good group of my close friends that are going, so that'll be cool. And yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, summer is great. I mean, it's like it's already feeling like it's late in the summer, which is like makes me feel crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've just been, I don't know. We're trying for the baby.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about this more, but I mean, there's been some kind of like just odd things happening or whatever, and it's I don't know. It's just all part of our journey, and it's something, it's.
Yeah. I know I felt particularly stressed these past couple weeks. I've had I had a couple of periods, so a couple cycles after the miscarriage, and then this one was really long.
Like really
42 long. Days.
Yeah.
And so obviously I thought I was pregnant.
Right, yeah.
So I was really excited and then not excited. I think I took 3 different pregnancy tests. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe I'm just testing too early. Maybe I didn't piss on the stick right. I don't know. And
we get those ones that are like, it's got the little screen on it, and so it's like
pregnant,
not pregnant. Yeah, because like not gonna fuck with the lines. Is that a line? Oh, that's a line. No, that's 3 lines. Is it 4 lines? Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's supposed to be 2.5. It's a unicorn.
Right. So yeah, I am really trying to sink into gratitude right now because I
Yeah,
feel
that's
really happy that I got my period. I started. Actually, maybe we'll do this in a later show. I'll talk a little bit about seed cycling.
Oh.
Because I started to do that again, which is something I did maybe, I don't know, almost 10 years ago when my periods were getting a little wonky. And it's so essentially it's just eating different seeds, like pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, during different points of your cycle to help with either estrogen or progesterone. So maybe we'll do I'll do a little pro tip segment on that.
Yeah, I must admit, I lived with you all through all of that, and I don't remember.
Remember I had the little...
I remember
had
the
a
chart.
little piece, yeah, a little
but
chart on
I
the
didn't
fridge.
remember that it was called seed cycling, though. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's awesome.
There's not any research behind it, but it's one of those things where
Well,
it's like...
we all know. Alternative medicine and acupuncture, it's all bullshit.
Exactly.
We've just had some like kind of doctory people in our life lately that have been like, well, it sounds interesting, but I can't believe it if there's no peer-reviewed studies and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, while their child is getting healed through acupuncture, or like their wife or daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Fuck off.
I know, it's a little frustrating. This is one of those things that you can totally add in, and there's unless you're allergic to the seeds, I suppose, there's no downside. So, so I started doing that again, and that's not to say that that's why I got my period, but I think I was just like, hey, I know things that I can do to help regulate my cycle. A, decrease your fucking stress.
Yeah.
And stop stressing about getting your period and am I pregnant? And so, did a couple of nighttime meditations, started the seed cycling, and just thought like, I have this really amazing body that's going to menstruate again. Like it's just going to happen. And this one was maybe a one-off. I'm actually going to see the doc on Monday just to kind of check in. But yeah, so that was a little disconcerting. And then like this whole journey has been, it sort of held up a little bit of a mirror for me and just said, hey.
Yeah.
What do you need right now?
What do you need?
How can you take care of yourself right now?
I know. I think that's a great thing, we are both really good at taking care of each other, which I think is really unique, and I think it doesn't always happen in relationships, but I wish it did for more people. But I think that both of us are kind of uniquely challenged at being really helpful to ourselves. You're better than I am about it, but I think that there's, it's important to be like, it's not selfish to take care of yourself.
Right.
I think the word selfish should be redefined on some level. I like selfish. Well, if you're not selfish, if you're not like looking after yourself, then how are you going to look after anybody else? And so
of course.
I think that we've both been kind of taking, like I've been like waking up kind of a little bit earlier than I normally do with kind of busy brain, and I've just been getting out and going exercising and starting to cook breakfast, kind of starting my day, and I think it's just been like much better for me, you know, and those are things that I haven't always considered. I've always just kind of been like, you just got to sort it out, and that's not a good way of looking at life. So you got to take care of yourself. Yeah,
and life does have a way of just handing you on a little platter the stuff that you do have to deal with or cope with.
Sure.
Or figure out what your way of navigating through that is, because it's you can sort of stuff it down for a little while, but that shit is fucking buoyant, so it just comes right back up.
Yeah, you can tie all the cinder blocks to it, mafia style you want, but it's popping back up. Yeah, the police boat is going to find it in the movie. I know, we've been good. We've been we've been doing some kind of fun summer boy stuff. Like we've been, we visited our friend's new brewery.
Yeah, camping. I'm going camping again this weekend.
Going
with
camping.
A really good friend and former employer.
That's awesome.
Ellie.
Hey. We're watching some good shows.
Yeah.
There's this awesome show, and if you watch this show and know who we are, or at least just listen to our show, you'll know why we love this show. And it's called, I don't know if it's pronounced Penis or if it's Pen 15, but it's on Hulu, and it's like a lonely island, like Andy Samberg and those guys. But it's about these two girls, and they're like in 7th grade. Yeah, they're like 7th graders. They're 13 or whatever, but it's adult. They're adult actors,
only them
Only
and
them.
their parents are the adult actors.
Yeah, and
all
then
the other characters are kids.
Yeah, so like each of them they have like crushes on kids, and these are like they're 13-year-olds. The other actors.
Wow, it's a brilliant
so awesome.
show. These women are really, really dynamically funny.
Well, and what I love about it is that it's all, you know, the two main stars are women, and they're weird.
Yes,
And they're
totally.
like truly weird,
Yeah.
and it's like allowed to be weird.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't think that a lot of women and female comedians are really allowed to, and
That's
it's
true.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great show.
Great
Definitely
show.
watch it.
Yep.
What do you think? Should we roll out?
I know. I think it's probably a good idea.
Crystal Cruz.
Crystal Cruz.
She's a gem. I think you guys are gonna really dig this next couple of episodes. She really just spoke with such clarity on her decision making with pregnancy, and I feel like I don't know, it's nice to have a voice like that. You know, you could tell that she just had such clarity with each of her pregnancies, and really was decisive, but then also, you know, I think that there were some tender moments where she did, you know, there were a lot of difficult things that came up.
Yeah.
And,
Oh my gosh, totally.
So yeah,
and
we're excited.
What we'll probably do is at the beginning of the next episode, we'll talk about this episode.
Yeah.
Like, we won't have something at the end of this episode. So it'll be our interview, and then it'll be the next episode next week, and we'll talk about this one and kind of so forth.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
We'll talk about if Mikey fell down the stairs and peed his pants at his 20-year high school reunion.
Because that's what I did at my 10. My parents, yeah. I got a little too intoxicated, got back to my parents' house, and they have kind of one of those old houses that has like the one stairway that goes up and then a landing and then up again. And I got to I think the tippy top of the stairs and just went, and I like fell down the stairs and then wet my pants. So I think I'm gonna do better this year. Not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you make that a goal?
Okay, great.
All right, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe and like and leave us comments.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
Yeah, we're so happy that you're listening. We hope that you're finding this fun and funny and useful and sad and great.
Yeah.
And
I know this is one of the hard things. Like I've been trying to figure out where to our podcast host keeps like asking us like, what category? Are you sure you're in the right category? Not because it's like whatever, but it's like, is this a comedy show? Is it health and wellness? Is it pregnancy? I like that it's all of the things.
Yeah. Let's eat at mikeyandrinnestayin.com. Email us what you think this show is.
Yeah, email us your thoughts, or you can leave us your thoughts in comments. The other
definitely.
thing, we've been kind of like, I would love to see comments from people, and you know, if you comment on stuff, then also bounce us an email and just let us know who you are, and like we'd love to know like who's actually listening, because we don't have a sense of that.
Yeah.
So any way you want to reach out to us, you can even like comment on on Instagram posts. It's Mikey and Rinne Stay In. Instagram, Mikey and Rinne Stay In on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Just leave us some notes about what you're thinking about, why you listen.
It'll help sort of chart our course too, because this is a little mom and pop shop operation, and so
the aspiring mom and pop.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
So you really can have a big impact. You know, obviously it's going to be us that's reading through everything and us that's thinking through everything. So if you have an idea or if you have a thought in, you know, the way that the show could go, or an idea of something that you'd like for us to cover, please let us know.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys. Without any further ado, Mrs. The Latina Filipina.
Yes.
Crystal Cruz.
Yes.
Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to Mikey and Rinne Stay In. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Rinne.
And this is another episode of Mikey and Rinne Stay In Interviewing.
There it is again.
Great joke. It's awesome. It's super funny.
So good. Yeah.
So we're here with our new friend Crystal. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited.
We're so happy to have you. just a little background. So Crystal and I met at a pediatric acupuncture training in Boulder, Colorado. And she was just this glowing beacon of light with a little more hair at that point. And then she like very badassedly shaved her head. And she's got this perfect nugget dome that we were just admiring. Yes, girl.
No, shaved head crew can just.
Yes.
I had to shave. God shaved.
I was actually debating on actually shaving, and I'm like, I've gone this far. I wonder how would that be?
Right?
That might be next.
And so Crystal, why don't you just give us some background on yourself? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, what you're doing in life. Yeah, give us some Crystal.
Great. And guide me if there's questions you guys have, okay?
Great.
Perfect.
So I'm Crystal Cruz. I am an acupuncturist, and I am 38 years old. I'm married. I'm currently pregnant, 5 months pregnant. This is my third pregnancy. This is the furthest I've come in a pregnancy, so it's very exciting. And I don't know if I said I'm born and raised in LA, and I've lived here my whole life, and I love it here. We're going through a bit of a heat wave, so I'm kind of overly hot. It's like 95 degrees near the beach right now, which is very unusual. So there's a little glow that's more like sweaty, not necessarily blush.
Us Portlanders are like 95. Oh, man.
I know it gets to like 75 here, and people are like, get me in the river. Oh, I'm on fire.
Yeah, my happy temperature is 75, nothing lower. And like 75 and 80 is perfect. So I'm way out of my comfort zone.
So tell us, so you're currently pregnant, 5 months, and you said that this is your third pregnancy and the furthest along that you've been. Yeah. How's that been?
How's that? It's been pretty amazing. I mean, I keep thinking to myself, oh wow, that's a belly. Like that's not a belly. I'm pregnant. And because I've been through so many different experiences, which I'll talk about, it's surreal, really. It's just like, oh wow, I keep going. This one keeps going. Great. So I really try to think positive, and I really feel positive, which has been great. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of positive support around me, which makes everything easier, really.
Yeah.
Supportive family, supportive friends, make a world of difference.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And that also played into the losses that I've had. So I guess I'll just jump right into my first loss. Which,
please.
Was in 2016. And I went through the regular testing, blood testing, ultrasound, and I wanted to be in a hospital, but I wanted a midwife. So I chose a hospital out here that is very reputable, and my first ultrasound seemed very strange to me, but I thought, well, maybe my midwife would know what's going
strange
on.
How?
Strange in the sense that the imaging, the baby had like this fluid in its neck, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Like that does not look normal. But I figured if my midwife knows her stuff, she would acknowledge that. And so I thought, oh, that might just be the developing stages of a baby, and that either goes away or that's kind of normal. So. She didn't say anything. I did my blood work. A week later, she's like, oh, we've got some problems. And so at this point, I'm like 10, 11 weeks. And she said, and I didn't want to know the sex. And I don't know the sex of this baby either. So everything was, I wanted to be a surprise. And she goes, well, first of all, you're having a girl. And I'm like, well.
Thanks.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
And so, and she said, and there is a possibility that your test is a false positive, but I need you to come in to do some strep B testing. So if you do a CVS, chorionic villi sample because I was too early on to do an amnio.
Mm.
So she said, come in, you got to do that. And then you got to have to go see a genetic counselor and ultrasound specialist. So I go in, I'm like, at this point, I've researched. So she says, you tested positive for monosomy X, which is Turner syndrome. And I had never heard of that. I was like, what is that? I've heard of Down syndrome. I had never. So basically, this only affects girls, which is why she said, you're having a girl, and this is what's going on. So I thought, okay, well, by the time I went into the office, which was, I don't know if it was the same day or next morning. I think it was the same day. I was obviously devastated, but also I was sort of almost set in what I wanted to do based on the information I learned through the hours of research of videos and reading and YouTube, just everything that I could inundate myself in this compressed amount of time. So the probability of me getting having a miscarriage was almost 100%. She said, "Oh, it's almost inevitable."
Okay.
And at this point, I'm in my first trimester, and I'm like, "That's a long way to go," and I don't know when that could possibly happen. And I can't imagine having a stillborn. That would be, first of all, every loss is devastating, but not going all the way. And at that point I hadn't felt any movement, and so there was just like, I was pregnant, but I couldn't feel that I was pregnant, aside from the hormones and everything changing in my body. And so, and I didn't look pregnant, so that's also hard when you're going through all of this and you don't look pregnant, but you are pregnant, and then you're having to kind of make these decisions, and you're just like, but I didn't even get more pregnant. And so so that was that there were a lot of just mixed emotions. But anyway, so I learned about Turner syndrome, and I thought,
what are the basics of Turner syndrome?
So Turner syndrome only affects girls, and you have a high risk of having a miscarriage, and if you don't, you have a higher probability of a stillborn, and if you don't have that, you basically have a baby that could be born with heart problems, that your daughter would need a heart surgery or multiple heart surgeries within like the first days of her life. And if that doesn't happen, she's probably, there are a few cases where Turner syndrome women have been able to conceive, but it is very unlikely. Not sure if it's rare, but definitely not something that happens often. So I just thought to myself, miscarriage, that sucks. Stillborn, if that sucks. Heart problems, that sucks. And also I was thinking about what that would do in my marriage, like how that would affect, first of all, my health, also my marriage, because you're already starting off at a disadvantage in the sense of like having an unhealthy baby, assuming any of these things happened, right? I'm sure there are cases where and typically a Turner woman has like thicker neck, and like and they tend to be smaller in stature. So I just thought, okay, that's a lot to process.
Sure.
Fortunately, having insurance, having access to genetic testing, my husband and I decided that I would have an abortion. And now that was a whole other experience. A whole other experience that I had no clue what was coming. So I go to the 3D doctor, ultrasound doctor. He confirms. He's like, "Yep, see the neck." And I'm like, "I knew it. I saw that in my first ultrasound. I'm badass, and I didn't even know it." I'm like, how often have I seen ultrasounds? But something looks strange. And so he's like, "Yeah, that was that. I'm surprised I didn't get caught." And I'm like, whatever the case. Unfortunately, I was right. And he said, you can go do the CVS, which they inject a needle vaginally to basically extract a sample of the either amniotic fluid, basically something to test so they can triple confirm that this is indeed Turner syndrome.
Okay.
And I said,
Okay.
well, first of all, what's the risk? And they're like, oh, it's very slight, but you could have some problems, and also you have to wait some time, like a week or 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, that's a long time. If I already know I want to terminate. So
Totally.
that was a no-brainer for me as well. But so I go to the doctor, he confirms, and he's like, well, you can also test at termination, the baby one. So that's a third way to confirm. But I'm like, at that point, it's already done with. But it would, sure,
Right.
let's test then and there. I don't want to have to wait. And so he hands it on the way out. He says, I'm sorry that you're going through this. And here's a pamphlet for the therapist that deals with baby loss. And here's some number. Oh, I'll call you with some numbers for setting up an abortion. And so I thought, oh, wow, that's a lot to handle. And this is just a week ago. I had my first ultrasound. This is a lot going on. Really, a lot to process. Really, no processing actually. Is a lot of it is just, here's information. What are you gonna do about it? What's your next step? What's your next step? It's all so compressed. So there wasn't really any thinking so much. It was just like, okay, what does my heart say? What do we as a couple do? What do we want to do? What's best for us, right? Not best for everyone, best for me and my husband. Because
right.
There is no best for everyone. It's just best for you.
Yeah.
Right. Had you told anyone that you were pregnant yet? Was there any sort of like so was there family input?
Yes. So one of the things that I had decided was to tell everyone that I was pregnant, because my idea was, I want support, whatever the case.
Yeah.
Also,
I like that idea.
Also, not ever thinking that I would actually have a loss, right? It's just like, you're like, yeah, if it happens, sure. But I really thought, by sharing with people that I loved and that loved me, first, it's very exciting. Two, the first 3 months, you are going through so much. And you don't look like you're going through so much. So you really need a lot of understanding. You need a lot of support. You need just love on top of love. And so great. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell. And my husband was like, oh, that's a good idea. But then he got excited. So he was telling everyone. So it just got out of control. We were like talking to the walls, telling the walls that I was expecting a baby. And so I had told everyone. And the only thing that I would do different is, I am very close to my family, both sides of my family. And I literally called like each one of them and told them.
Yeah.
That was intense. I felt, it's kind of weird if I just send a text like, no longer pregnant. And so in my head, it sounded right. So in that interim of like, basically going to the doctor and getting those results, and then me going to deciding to have an abortion, I was like, okay, I'm just going to call everyone and then I'll make my appointments. And that was hard. That was very therapeutic.
You were saying that something you would have done differently. How would you have done that differently?
Well, with the next pregnancies, I didn't tell right away.
Gotcha.
With the second pregnancy, I did. I still didn't learn my lesson. And the third one, I waited till like 4 months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Anybody.
Anybody.
I didn't tell anybody. Not because I was afraid of loss. I just wanted to guard this special time and for myself and my husband, and really just be in it. So if anything did happen, I would still mention and tell people that I had a loss, but I really wanted to just be in it. And I feel sometimes the best way to be in it is not by spreading your business to the world, even if it's just my family, which is a big family. So it is my world, really. It's my world.
Yeah, I know. We've been. It's interesting since Corinne had the miscarriage. You know, we had told a very small group of people, and but we've been hearing from more and more people about. There's some of our friends that are of the mindset of just like the second I know, I want everyone to know because
Yes.
good or bad, I want my support system in place and I want
Yes.
people to know where I'm coming from. I don't know. I mean, we haven't quite decided what route we're gonna head next time, but it's
Yeah.
I get both sides of it so much. Like
Yeah.
it's I
Agreed.
totally understand it.
Agreed.
Well, and to your point, this isn't necessarily something that I've thought of, but I think it's so yummy to think like this is something that is so intimately shared between the two of us
Mhm.
and something that, we experience as women. So it's such a unique thing, right? To
Indeed.
grow a life.
Indeed.
And the oftentimes the way that when you do share with people, they do want to tell their story too, right?
Sure.
And so it
Sure.
can start to color. People want to tell their birth stories and birth
Yes.
traumas, right? And things like that. So I think that that's so interesting to really have this like sacred space that, if you do have a partner while you're pregnant, that you can just share with the
Yeah.
two of you. There's something really special.
Yeah, or on your own. I mean, it becomes like a community pregnancy.
Right,
Yes.
right.
It's like,
Yes.
and then like everybody thinks it's a democracy where they're allowed to have
Yes.
opinion and stuff, and it is kind of like, fuck you. She's
Yeah.
growing the baby.
Right.
Right.
You can be
Right.
happy for us, and
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So, and you can change your mind, right? Like you can have this
Right.
idea of what you want in the beginning, and then as time passes, sometimes you get just so excited you want to tell everyone. And
Right.
and
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's good to have some privacy, even if it's just for one day, and just process and think about.
Yeah.
And not everyone experiences a loss. So there those are the many fortunate people that they get pregnant and they're like, yeah, it's just going to be like this, and they have a baby and it just works. And then
Sure.
in cases like mine, it takes multiple attempts.
Yeah.
So
So
going
tell
back to
us.
the-
Yeah. Go ahead.
Going back to the setting up abortion, I'm in California, and California, you can have an abortion, I believe, until 24 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so I have insurance. I live in a state that it's legal. I am, not that it matters, but I have a wanted pregnancy and I'm trying to terminate it. Like there's many types of abortions, and you should be able to do whatever you want, however you want. It is your body. It is my body. And
Amen.
so I have these numbers my doctor gave me, and I'm calling reputable places. I'm calling major hospitals, and I'm getting answering machines, and they're like, leave your name and number and who referred you. It's like so backdoor, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. I mean, I'm in a state, I'm calling reputable hospitals. I'm in a state that it's legal, so I call these places, I have messages, so they call me back, and they're like, well, who referred you? And I'm like, this person. And I then start asking questions of, okay, when are you available? And pretty much all of them are telling me they do it once a week. I'm like, once a week? I don't want to wait a week. And they're like, oh no, but we don't have availability in a week. You need to wait for like 2 weeks. That's when our first opening is. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I have a baby inside of me that's not doing well. And in the interim of me and now to, let's say 2 weeks, I could miscarry. And then it could be miscarrying looks different for all kinds of people. It could be really bad hemorrhaging. It could be really painful. It could be spotting. And so I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, okay. So I was calling around different places. And then I started asking, like, how much is it? And then they're like, well, it depends. Like, how much, like, what type of abortion you have. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm this far along. By the time I'll be doing it, the earliest it'll be is 13 weeks. That's putting me starting in my second trimester. Like, what's going on here? And they're like, well, there's a range. And the ranges were insane. Like, it could be 1,000 to like something ridiculous. This was a few years ago, so I don't remember the exact figures, but it's like 1,000 and 9,000. I'm like,
What?
I have insurance. This is insane. And you can't even give me like by the way, before this process, it was my first pregnancy. So I start calling around asking these hospitals, how much does a birth cost? And they're like,
Right.
well,
Right.
it depends. And I'm like, okay, well, again, so this was almost like, oh shit, here I go again. I'm going down the same road, just on the other end of the experience.
Right.
And so there was no like specific amount that even I could sit comfortably with to make a decision. So
Isn't that crazy?
so all of this was going on, and I'm just like, this is insane.
Right.
I'm not even having to drive. So grateful. I live in a state that I don't have to drive hours to cross state lines.
Yeah.
But I need to go somewhere where there's picketers and they're making me feel like terrible and awful. So there's all these things. I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm sort of in that environment right now, despite the fact that I'm in California.
Right.
So ultimately, I have a friend that's OBGYN and works at a different hospital than was recommended to me, all the 5 hospitals that I called. And because for whatever reason, he was able to squeeze me in, and I was able to do it like within less than a week. So that was amazing. But how many people have access to that? I don't know.
Right.
I would have just followed the protocol of calling and making an appointment when it was available. It would have been 2 weeks. So I would have been, and you're further along, right? And
Sure.
I'm going to talk about the actual procedure, because in my head, when I imagined an abortion, I thought, I'm in my first trimester. It's going to be a 1-day thing. I'm going to be knocked out.
Sure.
I'm going to have, so there's a DNC and there's a DNE, and most people get a DNC.
Yeah.
So it's dilation.
Corinne had a DNC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was thinking,
what is a DNE?
Evacuation. So I think it's just more invasive.
Okay.
And so my doctor said, I only do DNEs at this stage, so that's what you need, and this is what it entails. It's a 2-day process. You need to come within 24 hours to the office, and we insert these bamboo-like sticks in your body, and we kind of set your uterus into contractions, and to dilate you.
Holy shit.
And so I'm in the office, and I had told him, I had read all these blogs, and many women were like, oh yeah, medication. So I told him, I'm like, okay, well, I definitely want you to knock me out. And he goes, oh, we can't knock you out, but we can do local anesthesia. I'm like, okay, then you're for sure gonna make me numb.
Yes.
And so I'm in the office. Mind you, I'm very at peace with my decision. I really don't feel. It was very stressful. Like, my household was very stressful because we were very disturbed. So anytime you have a situation like that, sometimes you get along and sometimes you don't get along. And so my husband and I were at each other's necks because we were just devastated, but we were still, it was happening so fast. We weren't really able to vocalize that or even process it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, emotionally, I might have been disturbed, but in the sense of my feeling for my decision, I was 1,000% committed. I'm like, I don't feel bad about this. This is what I want to do. I am not letting anyone. And by the way, I was so lucky in those individual calls when I made to all my family. Everyone was supportive. Which I cannot imagine.
That's huge.
I cannot imagine. And I have some super conservative people in my family that don't believe in abortion. So I was, nervous in the sense of just kind of hearing any backlash, but that wouldn't have changed my opinion. But still, to have all that support, I was counting my blessings, and I was like, thank you, ancestors. Thank you for everyone that's watching over me.
Yeah.
it could have, I could have had a husband who was like, no, we're going to just do this and we're going to have a baby and you're going to do whatever, like, you know, whatever I want. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Thank
Or
God
a
I
state.
had a family that
Yeah.
was so supportive. So
Yeah.
all these things I was constantly getting new perspective. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. This is amazing. I'm so grateful. And so the lighting is getting a little dark. Should I put lights on?
Oh yeah, maybe throw a light on.
Yeah, throw a light
Okay.
I want to
on.
see you.
I like that she was the one that figured out that the lighting was dark.
Yeah, right. And I can barely see us. Hello.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
And just make sure that you are in the center of your screen. I mean, it's a little late now, but yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
yeah. Perfect.
It's because sometimes when the recording splits across the two screens, I don't know. Who
No,
knows?
you'll be
Is that more
It'll be
centered?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Just
perfect.
tell me, like, move over your right, my left, or whatever.
No,
You
you're
look-
good.
you look
You got
amazing.
your mark.
So I go and I'm in the office and I'm feeling totally like this is what's gonna happen. I'm cool with it. He's like, you know, most of my patients, and I've done this many times, he's like, most of my patients don't even need an injection. And I'm like, you're gonna give me one because I don't want to feel anything. And he's a friend, so I'm like, Doc,
Yeah, load it up, Doc.
I mean, I want you to put me out completely. You're not going to do
Right.
that, then get me close. So
Right.
he gives me a shot, and I literally am experiencing so much pain. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's uncomfortable, and I'm in stirrups. I'm like spread eagle, and I'm just like, okay. He said this wouldn't be painful. He gave me an injection. I'm like, how long does it take for it to kick in? Because I'm feeling everything. And that's not the good stuff I want to be feeling. I want to be feeling the meds, not what you're doing, the procedure.
Right.
So basically, he's injecting a med to basically relax me and open me up.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in doing that, then he can insert these sticks that keep me open until the procedure the next day. So
Wow.
It sounds
I
so
know, I
medieval.
It does sound medieval.
so
That's a good way to describe it.
barbaric. I'm like, how
Yeah.
haven't we gotten a little further with
Yeah.
Right.
technology?
Right.
And so anyway, so he gives me the first shot, and I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, I'm gonna wait a little while longer, and I wait, and I said, you need to give me another shot, and he's like, really? And I'm like, really? I am at this point. I'm like crying, and I'm really in pain. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting the pain. I was really like, it was such a surprise for me. And so I thought, oh gosh, now I'm feeling terrible because it's painful and it's not getting better. And I don't know how much time I have left. So it's him,
Okay.
his nurse, and me. My husband's in the waiting room. I didn't think I would need him. So he gives me a second shot, and I'm like, all right, kick in. It doesn't kick in. Like, I'm like, you need to give me another shot. And I am not like a avid drug user where I'm like, I have a high tolerance. When it comes to like opiates and stuff, I'm very sensitive. Like when I had my wisdom teeth removed, I got meds, but they made me really sick because I wasn't used to them. So it's not like I have this high tolerance. And I was just like, no, I need more because I'm too tough for this. It was literally like, why am I feeling everything? And he said, I can't give you a third because it'll drop your blood pressure and you'll like throw up. And I'm like,
Oh shit.
okay, so great. Now I'm really screwed because now I need to suck it up. I don't even have another option. I just
Oh,
need to
gosh.
really just breathe this out. But at this point, I'm not thinking about breathing. I'm not thinking about being calm. I'm just like,
Sure.
can we get through this? It's
How long is the procedure in
well,
total?
For me, I feel like it was about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So-
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
and
long
I
time.
don't think it was supposed to be that long. But I think
Okay.
because of just my sensitivity or
Yeah. Do you know what
whatever,
the drugs were that he was giving you?
it started with a no, I don't.
It wasn't morphine though.
No.
Okay,
It was a
'cause-
specific thing for
Right.
opening
Dilation.
for
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I had this really interesting experience with morphine. I had a shoulder injury,
Yeah.
and and I ended up finding out after the fact, like they gave me 3 rounds of morphine, and I had like a big separated shoulder, and it made the pain so much more intense
Wow.
every dose that they gave me. And what I ended up finding out was that my mother is completely, I don't know what the word is, but like almost allergic. But like morphine does not work with her, and morphine doesn't work with me either. So
Oh, that
it's
sucks
just,
for you though.
ooh boy,
Let's use the feel good drug.
yeah, dude, I know. I know. Everybody tells me about it, and they're like, "Woo, morphine!" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I want to die. This is the worst."
I'm sorry to hear that. That
It's
sucks.
okay. Yeah, of the things
So it
in my
wasn't
life
morphine. It wasn't morphine, and I know what
Okay.
you're talking about because
Yeah,
my
yeah.
dad, when he gets prescribed pain meds, or like things that are supposed to drug him, they actually make him awake, and they don't take the pain
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Bodies
I
are
don't
so
know if some of that lingers in my genes.
Mm.
Sure.
It was awful. It was awful. So I leave the hospital and I have to be lying down. So they basically put these sticks in and then they put in like tampons because they don't want the sticks to come out. So they
Wow.
put them in.
This is
And
this.
that's the barricade for the
Yeah.
bamboo sticks is the
Yeah.
tampon?
I mean, this.
Oh my God.
This
And you have
sounds
to lie
like.
down. And you have to lie down. So I'm
For
lying
the whole
down.
for until the surgery is
Yes,
complete?
yes. So
This
Oh my
sounds
God.
like Republican torture
it's
to
Right.
make people not
It's-
have abortions.
Right.
It's insane. So I'm thinking, whoa, this is interesting. So I'm lying down on the way home, get into bed, and I'm like, okay. So every time I go pee, I have to basically push the tampon in because gravity is trying to push everything out. So I'm like using my abs and just
Wow.
trying to. So it was a very interesting process, right? So this is one day before I have, let's say it's a Friday. And so Saturday morning, I'm scheduled to go in another thing is, I don't know why in my head that I thought 13 weeks was my first trimester. But when I went in on the surgery date, and they're like, how far along are you? I'm like, 13 weeks. They're like confirming my identity and blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, second trimester. And I'm like, that was shitty. I was like, oh, I'm in my second trimester. This, like, that was, and it was like the beginning. It was literally like that I had just started my second trimester. And that was really like that was like a big bummer for me. So I kind of
Yeah, totally.
got the
Why,
meds.
why was that a bummer?
Because it to me it was like I was further along.
Yeah.
You know, like I had made it further, and then here I was,
Right.
no longer going to be pregnant.
Mm.
So that was emotional, but fortunately the drugs they gave me were so good I knocked out like right away. And then I just remember waking up and I'm like, oh, that's what I envisioned this whole thing to be like, not a 2-day process of hell.
Right.
And
is
another
there?
thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, another thing that so of this whole process, day one of day two, the 2-day abortion was very traumatizing, and for whatever reason, I wasn't given like stool softener, and so I experienced constipation on a level that I cannot describe any other way besides maybe 4 days post surgery feeling like I birthed a baby out of my ass.
Well, you got to give birth one way or the other. So.
Yeah, I guess so. My body was like, we're doing this.
Oh my God.
Oh, geez.
I remember I was screaming, and I was sitting there for like an hour or two, and I thought, this can't be happening. Like, how is this happening to me? And there's like no end in sight.
Oh my God.
I was home. I got off the toilet. I like crawled to my kitchen and I reached for some magnesium that I had.
Oh yeah.
And I took that, and then that eventually gave me relief. But those were the two most traumatizing things from that first pregnancy.
Yeah, seriously.
And something that you don't think about, right? I mean, but of course, like that whole pelvic bowl, it's, it's the poop chute's not far from the vagina,
No.
right? So it's
No.
like there's
No.
all kinds of trauma that's happening, right?
Correct.
So then
Yeah.
for the stools to get backed up, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's
Of
not
course.
something I would have thought of,
And then
but
on top of all the meds that they gave me to knock me out.
sure, of
So
course.
everything compounded led to
Yeah.
the most awful bout of constipation I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
sister.
to kind of wrap up that first pregnancy, that was a very interesting experience, and what lingered from that was my body still feeling like it was pregnant because it didn't go through the full stages.
Yeah.
So I developed a cyst. I had never had a cyst before, so it kind of felt like this ongoing period cramp for like a month or two.
Wow.
And at that point, I had visited my midwife, told her, just so you know, my first ultrasound with you, I noticed this year. You may have never seen this before, but now you know what it is. So please be aware for other patients that you have. This is the learning moment, like a teaching moment. I like kind of like scolding her a little, like, you could have slipped through this. And what if I didn't do the genetic testing? And what if I wasn't over 35? Anyway,
Right.
at this point, I'm now seeing the head of the doctors in that hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bypassed a bunch of people.
You deserved it.
And oh, by the way, my husband and I did a bunch of genetic testing because we were like, shit, is something wrong with us? And fortunately, with Turner syndrome, there's nothing you can do. It affects all ages, all nationalities. So it was just Mother Nature saying, this one is this way, and in our case, not viable for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And my doctor with the cysts had said, well, we can just put you on birth control to get rid of the cysts. And I thought, I just got off birth control a few years ago to make this baby. I am not getting back on just to fix a cyst. So I ate a little cleaner and did a few things. And fortunately, in my case, it went away.
Okay.
But that was that whole experience. So that
wow.
And kind of talking about being 38, trying to get pregnant. This is something I didn't discuss. You spend your whole reproductive life not trying to get pregnant.
Right.
So when you want to get pregnant, you have to learn, especially if you're on birth control. When are you ovulating? Yes. What is ovulation? Like all these things that most people aren't so knowledgeable about.
What is cervical mucus?
Your temperature, your basal temperature, right?
Yeah.
So all these different things.
Totally.
So I got off birth control, gave myself a few months. Then my husband and I started to practice making a baby. And then it got real stressful. I'm ovulating. We have to do this now. And he's like, this has become a chore. And it took me 6 months to make a baby. After I learned that I was after my periods last about 4 or 5 days. Mm-hmm. After that, basically, if I have sex, I get pregnant right away. And the sperm obviously can live up to 5 days, but whatever that recipe I learned works. So every time, all 3 pregnancies, that has happened.
Wow.
It's good to know your own recipe.
I think why it took me so long was because I was doing it I was waiting another week or so, and I was doing it in the sweet spot, but it was not my sweet spot. So it took me by mistake, just having regular sex, not planned sex, to get pregnant.
Okay. And did you find, this is like maybe too personal, but did you find that your like you were just sort of following your libido, like when you naturally wanted to have sex, you would have sex, and that just happened to be right after your period, or was it?
I think so. I think it was
Yeah.
just a normal, like, enjoyable sex amongst all
Right.
the planned, stressful sex.
Right.
Inverting myself and doing weird acrobatics because you want to keep the sperm in there as long as possible.
Oh yeah, we've
Totally.
been there.
Totally.
Rinne, it's like Cirque du Soleil in our bedroom. So.
Yep.
Exactly. Might as well
Yeah.
hang stuff from the ceiling.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
So
Sex swing.
that was the first pregnancy. Okay.